Hey guys, welcome to the workshop. In today's video, I wanted to put forth the biggest question of them all. Does Harbor Freight sell the best wood clamps? Let's find out, so stick around. So if you've been into woodworking for any length of time, you've definitely probably know Harbor Freight sells probably what I would consider the cheapest clamps out there. They're only usually $2.99, super cheap, but they seem to be pretty good. And as you can tell from all of my videos, that's the clamp I use. But are they really the best or not? Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick comparison, and I'm going to compare these two other products that are very similar to the Harbor Freight clamp. I'm not going to go to the extreme like a Betsy clamp or some of the other high dollar clamps like Wood River, even the pony ones. So I'm not going to go that route. What we're going to do, we're going to compare it to the Irwin 6-inch clamp, and we're also going to compare it to a Craftsman 6-inch clamp. So I'm going to approach this the way that basically anybody would. I'm not going to go super scientific on it. I'm going to do basically what the clamp is required to do. I'm going to take each clamp, and I've got this piece of poplar. That way it's actually even, the whole thing. There's no soft spots. It's the same hardness all the way around. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the clamp it to it just by pushing it down, not extra pressure, and I'm going to turn the handle 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a little hard to do. And we're going to do the same with the Irwin and the Craftsman. Alright, so these all pretty much have the basic same pressure to them, and you can clearly tell there's a little bit of a difference here. Craftsman's in the back, this is the Irwin, this is the Harbor Freight. You can tell by the handle, the Harbor Freight one is pushing back. And also, if you look at the shaft here, there is a bend on it. But what's more evident, if you look down here, you can see the Harbor Freight one definitely gives a whole lot more, where the Irwin behind it is pretty straight, as well as the Craftsman. It's maintained being square. So it's important to note that I applied basically the same pressure to all of this, and when you're clamping wood together, you're not going to want to tighten it down to the point where you can't tighten it any longer. So this test could be a little bit exaggerated, but it's pretty clear that between the 3 of these, which by the way, they all have actually a pretty similar design to the bar and to the forks on the clamps, what I like to call them. They're all very similar, and it's clear that with that pressure, the Harbor Freight kind of fails in that a little bit. And once again, you're never going to exert that much pressure, but let's kind of dive into this a little bit more. So one big difference that I notice is that obviously the handles, all 3 are very different. This one is good for grip, but it's still small, which is the Harbor Freight. The Irwin, it's wooden and terrible grip, and it's just, to me, it's too small. Craftsman is much bigger, more like a screwdriver, and if I really wanted to push on that, I could actually probably give it even more pressure. It's also important to look at each of the threads. Each thread is a little bit different. This is pretty coarse. This is about the same as the Harbor Freight, but the Craftsman has a much bigger thread, and so this will give you the ability to tighten it down faster, but because the handle's bigger, you can also put a lot more pressure on it. Now while I've had you zoomed in here, we're going to take a look at the back. And all of these, like I said, if you look at these, they generally look very similar. They all have this same little crow's foot at the bottom, so that you could actually let these free stand on their own. But here's the biggest problem, the inconsistencies of each one. I don't know if you could tell, on this one, this shaft, this here is very much not square. You can tell, I mean, I am overlapping a good bit for that one. This one, dead on square. This one, dead on square. This one's not. And if you look really closely, you can see it contorted. Okay guys, so do I think Harbor Freight sells the best clamps? No, they don't. But for the price, you just can't beat it. They're really good, and there's little tricks you can do to make them better. You could put a little bit of wax on the bar that will actually make it slide a little easier. You can even adjust the clip in the back to adjust how this works. But the jaws, they do give a little bit. The bar is made of carbon steel versus where the other ones are made of just steel, straight out steel. So they work much better, and they don't give. So I would say go ahead and get them. They're good to have in your shop. And obviously, you can already tell, I like to use them in my shop a lot. Now, if you've been around any length of time, you do know that Harbor Freight has a black handled version, and all the ones that I've been talking about are blue handled ones. So I'm going to talk about that topic in a whole other video and cover the difference between the two and what I think between the two is the best option. I kind of am a little bit undecided because I like some features of the blue and I like some features of the black one, but I will discuss that in a later video. And if you find this kind of topic interesting and would like to know my thoughts on some of the other Harbor Freight clamps, like the bar clamp and then maybe some of the quick action grip clamps, then let me know in the comments below, and if there's enough interest, I may make another video on the other clamps that Harbor Freight sells. But guys, thank you for watching this video. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel. Give me the thumbs up button and leave a comment down below. Thank you guys for watching again, and I'll see you next time right here in the workshop.